What's wrong with Six Flags New England? This is a question I ask myself all the time and always answer it with my honest opinion. Now, Six Flags New England is an amusement park located in Agawam, Massachusetts. I live in Massachusetts, meaning Six Flags New England is my home park. Do I like this park? No, not really. And I feel like this park has a lot of potential. I've been to this park more than any other amusement park, probably 30, 40 times now, and that's just because it's an hour away. It's the most convenient option for thrills, although this year, 2023, I have not visited it as much as I usually do because I have been on a lot of other coaster trips recently. So that has been occupying my time. I have been to this park 3 or 4 times this year, but not a lot. And today I'm going to be talking about what is wrong with my home park and how can the park fix the issues it has, because this park is never going to be a super massive park like Great Adventure and Magic Mountain, but you can have small parks be really good. Examples of this are Dorney Park, Kentucky Kingdom, and a lot of others. So I'm going to start talking about what I do like about Six Flags New England. So let's talk about the pros. For starters, this has an amazing top 2. It has an Intamin hyper coaster as the top attraction, and then the second best coaster in the park is an RMC hybrid coaster. Both of these coasters are really fun, really intense. I just love these rides. Wicked Cyclone offers a twister layout that is super intense, snappy, offers great ejector airtime, and this is not a tall coaster at all. It's not a big ride at all, but it just uses this small structure to its advantage to make a very aggressive RMC. And then with Superman the Ride, you've got this massive hyper coaster at the back of the park against the lake that offers great airtime through its 3 massive sweeping camelbacks and a great ending with the spaghetti bowl section. And I really enjoy both of these coasters. In fact, a lot of the time I would literally just go to the park, head straight to Superman, and then just lap it. Because this year, it has been pretty dead at the park, which is another pro. The fact that it has not been too crowded and isn't usually too crowded. So I'm usually able to lap Superman, lap Wicked Cyclone, and then I'll head out. That's usually my typical day there. I'll just come in for 2 hours. Some days we'll be doing on-ride filming. Other days I'll just pop in, get a few rides on Superman and Wicked Cyclone, and then head out. Because that's really all you can do at this park because of its very narrow lineup. Really, after Superman and Wicked Cyclone, there isn't too much there to do. Now, there are about 10 credits there. So if you haven't been to the park, definitely make sure to get all the credits because it is a good amount of coasters. Just most of those coasters are fillers. So, let me try and think of other pros that this park has. Yeah, there aren't really any other pros. So let's get to the cons list. Alright. So the cons of Six Flags New England, this is a pretty long list, and I'm just going to go out and say it before we get started. A lot of these cons, the park cannot control. I'm just going to say that half of the problem Six Flags New England has, the park can't really control it. I mean, they can, but at the same time they can't. So I'm not going to be blaming them specifically for half of these cons. A lot of it is the people and just the location of this park. So the first con is the people who visit the park. There is the constant smell of marijuana in the park because this park does not have a no marijuana policy. Most of the Six Flags parks do have a no marijuana policy, but this park does not have that. So you will constantly smell marijuana throughout the entire park. It is just, I've gotten so used to it that it doesn't really bother me anymore, but I just thought people should be aware of that because nobody follows the no smoking policy in designated areas. No one goes to those. Everyone just does it in the middle of the park. And I know a lot of Six Flags parks are like this, most of them, but I just feel like it's more present at Six Flags New England, and a lot of people will be bothered by that. So that is one of the cons. Another con is rowdy teenagers, unhinged kids. So there's a lot of kids that go to this park, and they just go out of control. There'll be fights in the park. They'll be running around. They'll be just causing a scene. Some of them will even come up to you and be very rude and disruptive towards you, ruining your day. Not ruining your day, but just being an inconvenience to everyone. And I know there's some people that aren't bothered by this, but these are just what I consider to be cons. Now let's exit out of the guest-related cons and talk about the coaster lineup at this park. This park has an insane amount of filler attractions. And this basically means it has a good amount of coasters, a good amount of attractions, but none of them are really good. I mean, they have a spinning coaster, a Wild Mouse, a Vekoma SLC, a terrible B&M floorless coaster. I did get some good rides on it recently, but before that and after that, I didn't get many good rides on it. So it does not have a good lineup. Very, very poor lineup other than the top two. Although this does have a very good flat ride lineup like Sky Screamer and Harley Quinn's Pinsanity. But really other than those, it's just very bland. And a lot of the time, if you visit the park, these attractions will be closed down. Oh, and another thing to talk about with this park is the operations. This park has terrible operations. Half of the coasters, sometimes more than half of the coasters, are on one train ops. And one train ops is literally terrible because this park does one train ops terribly because it makes like each of the dispatches 5 minutes. Like we're talking Superman on one train ops will be 5 minutes in the station, taking 5 minutes to dispatch, and then it'll be out on the layout for about 2 minutes. So that's literally 7 minutes. Every 7 minutes, a train dispatches out of the station. That is terrible. And this same scenario applies for Wicked Cyclone and a lot of the other coasters like Batman, Riddler's Revenge. It's just horrible. I can't stand when this park does one train ops. And usually it'll do one train ops on a quieter day. And it's pretty quiet at Six Flags New England now. I used to see massive crowds at this park. I don't see those crowds anymore. But the lines will remain long. The stations will be crammed because of the horrible, slow operations. Now, the next con I have with Six Flags New England is the food options. This park does not have good food options. They have standard Six Flags food options, so there isn't really any Six Flags park where you'll find amazing food, but I feel like this park really stood out from the rest regarding bad food. So, this has worse food than the majority of the Six Flags parks. And it has the same kind of food chains in the park, like Chop Six, which is the Asian cuisine, then Johnny Rockets, which is burgers, and a few other restaurants. But this park prepares the food in a worse way. I don't know what they do to it, but Chop Six is like super dry. And now that I've been to more Six Flags parks, I've eaten at other Chop Sixes, and they have been substantially better than Six Flags New England's. And this is just the standard theme park food. I feel like they could really improve this. And these are just things that you don't need to expand the park with massive rides. Just little things in the park can make a big difference. So yeah, the food, that is a pretty big con at Six Flags New England because there isn't really any option for food in the park unless you just want to get the standard theme park fried food. But if you're okay with that, then the food shouldn't be an issue for you. And on my past few visits to the park, the employees have been very, very rude. Like, I specifically remember one of the ride ops yelled at me because I had my phone in my zippered pocket. So this is one of the days that we weren't doing any on-ride filming, so I wasn't trying to do any filming of any kind on rides. So I just had my phone just in my pocket. And then this ride up screamed at me. He was like, "You can't have the phone on the ride at all." And I said, "I'm not going to take it out. It's in a zippered pocket. It's secured." And then he escorted me off the ride. It's just very rude. But then at the same time, this park has a big problem with the loose article policy because they are clearly not strict enough. The amount of times I have seen someone take their phone out while riding to film videos for TikTok, vertical videos, it is countless times. And Six Flags New England is actually the only park that I have gotten hit by a phone on a ride. So just take a look at this. You can see that this person in the front row has their phone out, right? Now, all it takes is for them to drop that phone, slips right out of their hands, and then it can hit the person in the second or third row right in the face. Then, boom, you got a broken nose. It's that serious, guys. So don't take your phones out. Six Flags New England, I've seen it more than any other park I've been to. Just phones out galore, and the ride ops don't do anything about it, which is why it keeps happening over and over and over. So all of that is basically what's wrong with Six Flags New England. Now, those are not all of the cons. I can think of a few other cons that we can't even fit on the list, as you can see. But basically, they have a parking lot that's across the street, so you have to walk like a mile to get to the front entrance if you don't have preferred parking. Now, this is not the park's fault. This is just the positioning of the park. So they had to put the parking lot across the street so that this massive pathway that goes along the forest, and you have to walk along that from the parking lot to the park. So it can be a little bit of an inconvenience, but they do provide trams and shuttle services if you don't want to walk that whole mile. I don't know if it's a mile, probably not, but it sure feels like a mile. Anyway, let's talk about how they can fix these problems. So Six Flags New England, if you're watching, take notes. The constant marijuana smoking by guests problem can be fixed by implementing a no marijuana policy. Now, this is probably not going to fix the problem, but it is going to moderate it a bit because this park is literally right outside of Springfield, which has a bunch of marijuana dispensaries. So there's going to be naturally a lot of guests coming in that have been smoking marijuana. So that problem really can't be fixed. This is one of those things that the park really has no control over. So really, all they can do is just implement an actual rule stating that it is not allowed in the park. Now, the rowdy, unhinged teenagers problem, create a chaperone policy, because a lot of Cedar Fair parks have been making chaperone policies, but not a lot of Six Flags parks have. So definitely, if a chaperone policy was put into place, especially now that Fright Fest is here, Fright Fest is the time of the year when most of these issues happen because everyone's just out of control at that time of the year for some reason, probably because of how slammed the park gets during Fright Fest. But yeah, just a chaperone policy, just in general, would be nice for the park to have, really control all the problems. So I feel like that would definitely fix the unhinged teenagers problem. That would definitely reduce most of the fights, all the chaos that goes on when the park is slammed with a bunch of unhinged teenagers. So that problem is fixed with the chaperone policy. So really, that's one of the main things Six Flags New England needs to focus on, is putting in a chaperone policy. It's not that hard. It just takes one corporate meeting with the park to implement a chaperone policy. Very, very simple. So next up, we're going to be talking about the filler attractions con, how this can be fixed. So this can't really be fixed because Six Flags New England actually has not gotten a new coaster in 6 years, and that new coaster was a filler coaster. So the last time they got a custom-built, really new coaster was 2015, Wicked Cyclone. So I feel like we're not going to see any super unique non-filler attraction coming to Six Flags New England anytime soon, but that is not even the problem with the park. That's the least of our problems. In fact, what I want to see Six Flags New England do is improve the atmosphere of this park. Because you can have small amusement parks be very charming, very fun atmospheres, like Knoebels in Pennsylvania. That's a prime example. They don't have an amazing lineup of coasters, but they have a great atmosphere. And that's what I want Six Flags New England to have. A good atmosphere, have some decent kind of theming, you know? So, filler attractions, let's not even focus on that part. So, slow operations. Now, really, I don't even know how they're going to fix this. Maybe train the ride ops to work faster, although that's not going to happen. But definitely work on getting full train operations. So instead of having one train, have two, have three, however many trains that coaster can run, that's how many it should be running at all times. Now for the food selection, again, this is not a thing that we're really going to see happen. I hope we see it happen sometime in the future, but just in general, the Six Flags parks need to work on better food options. So maybe more, maybe more unique restaurants. So like the entire chain actually could just come up with their own significant restaurants. Even each park in the chain could come up with their own significant restaurants, make high quality food. I know this is not going to happen, but I'm just saying I would really like it if they made high quality food with special significant restaurants to each park. I feel like that would be very nice for the parks to do. Make actual restaurants with seats inside. So I know we kind of have that with Johnny Rockets, but that's Johnny Rockets. So maybe something similar to that, but with actual good quality food. Because there's a lot of people that go to these parks that want to stay healthy, that want to eat healthy food. So I feel like these parks need to work on providing that kind of food to the guests. Now, for the rude staff problem, and this also kind of links to ride operators being slow with the operations, they are being rude, they are being slow and drowsy because they're getting minimum wage pay. They don't want to be paid $12 an hour, $10 an hour. They want to be paid much higher because it is likely that this pay is not covering their rent, it's not covering anything that they need to pay for in life. That is why they are being rude. That is why they are being slow. It's because they don't feel like they are being paid what their job is worth. So, Six Flags, I feel like it would be better if you raise your employees' raises. You just raise their salaries because then they will be much nicer to people. They will do their job more efficiently, and it'll be a much better experience for everyone, the guests and the employees. So then, let's talk about the loose articles and the phones out issue. Now, this has been a problem at Six Flags New England and a lot of Six Flags parks for as long as I can remember. People taking their phones out of their pockets while the ride is in motion to film videos of their reactions or just a forward-facing video without any secured equipment. Because, guys, I film using a hand mount, a chest mount, using GoPro equipment with the park's approval. So it is not being hazardous to anyone. It's not dangerous. Whereas phones are handheld recording devices that if they slip out of your hands, that's it. It could go flying back, hit someone if you're in the front, it could hit someone in the back, and it could hit their face right on their nose, their eye at 70, 80, even 90 miles per hour, and literally could kill you because they are flying projectiles. I've seen this countless times at Six Flags New England and have even been hit by a phone myself. Now, luckily, it hit my shoulder and it was on one of the final hills on Superman, one of the final bunny hills, so it didn't hurt too much. It definitely did hurt, but it could have been way worse. I reported it to a ride op, and the ride operator did absolutely nothing. So, I mean, I think they need to be stricter with the loose article policy, because this is going to get out of hand one way or another. So, just stop taking your phones out, guys. If you're someone who takes your phone out while you're riding a roller coaster, please stop, because all it takes is one phone being dropped on a roller coaster to end someone's life. That's how serious this topic is. And while that's rare for someone to die because of a flying phone, it's definitely possible. So I just refrain from filming with your phone on coasters. There's a reason the park does not allow it. So if you want to film on-ride POVs, use the proper equipment and reach out to the park in advance to get permission, because they don't allow that either. At least most parks don't, just because of safety issues. So anyways, this is what's wrong with Six Flags New England, and this is how they can improve. There's a few other things that I would like to see them do, like add more foliage in the park, add more like landscaping, just really touch up the park, make it look nice. I feel like there's a few other things they could do. Just touch up the park, really like revamp it. That would be very nice. I'd really appreciate if they did this to my home park, because this is my home park. So thank you guys for watching today's video. I know this was a long one. I wasn't expecting it to get this long, but I had a lot to say about my home park, what's wrong with it, and how they can fix it. So leave a comment down below. Leave your thoughts on Six Flags New England. Do you agree with me? Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Just let me know your thoughts down in the comments. I would really appreciate see your thoughts. And leave a like on this video. Share it with other people who love roller coasters. There's a good chance you love roller coasters if you're watching this video. I love roller coasters too. The whole Coaster Brothers crew loves roller coasters, because we are coaster enthusiasts. So if you love roller coasters, make sure to subscribe to Coaster Brothers for great quality content in ranking videos, reviews, videos like this where I simply just tell you my thoughts on parks. What is wrong with them? What needs to be improved? If you want to see more videos like this for other parks, also let me know that down in the comments. And as always, guys, stay on the thrill side of life.